Chapter 1. Building an Audience with Cross-Promotion. Every guru talks about how having an audience is the key to success. We don't need to convince you of that fact. However, if you are like us, you look at every tone-deaf article about audience building and think, you can go screw yourself. Why? Because the crux of every article is that you need to invest a lot of money to grow your audience, and they are written from people who had a lot of money to invest into their audience at the beginning. It's really easy to talk about audience building when you have thousands of dollars, a marketing team, and products that already sell a ton. But what about the little human, the one who doesn't have a pot to piss in? What do they do to get in the door? Does that sound like you? Yeah. Us too. For years we were grumpy, surly, and bitter at the experts telling us that all we had to do was invest $10,000 to $20,000 in Facebook ads to grow a massive audience. Cool story, bro. We didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, but these experts expected us to pull $10,000 out of thin air while we were trying to scrape by, and it just wasn't happening. The truth is that when you don't have a lot of products or money, audience building becomes much harder. However, it is not impossible. In this book, we're going to show you the best ways that we've ever found to build your audience without spending a ton of money. In fact, most of these can be accomplished with no money at all. However, a little bit of money goes a long way with these. Before we get started, some of these strategies involves inorganic growth methods. There are many definitions of what that means, but for us, organic growth is when somebody sees your work and signs up to hear more from you because they like you already. Inorganic growth, by contrast, is when you are using somebody else's brand to build your audience and then working to convert them into people who love your stuff as well. This will make more sense as we move forward. There are also gross black hat strategies that involve buying lists, which also fall under inorganic growth, but we won't be covering those here. Instead, we'll be talking about above-board inorganic growth methods that aren't slimy or sleazy, but that you may not have heard before. Inorganic growth is way faster than organic growth. However, the people you bring into your ecosystem could take longer to convert into fans and likely have a way smaller conversion percentage than those who come to you organically. We feel it's still worth growing your brand this way because it's cheaper and faster than organic growth. And while they don't convert as well as organic growth, the sheer volume of people you can reach with by using inorganic growth methods is incredible, and more than makes up for in quantity what you lose in quality. Besides, if you do it right, then you are targeting people who are in your perfect audience. It's then up to you to make them fans of your work. However, if you put in the work, you can create fans from these potential customers. What is an audience? Before we get into the best tactics to use with audience building, it's important to define what an audience is for a moment. For the purposes of this book, an audience is the total number of people you can reach through your mailing list, social media networks, and other channels. Imagine a concert venue, and your audience is the people filled inside of it. When we start building an audience, we can't even fill a dive bar to hear our message. However, the more we work at building our fan base, the bigger our audience grows, until we can fill arenas all over the world. It's important to note here that just because somebody is in your audience doesn't mean they are buying your work, but it does mean they can hear your message when you speak. If a person can hear your message, they are part of your audience. Think about your Facebook friends. While you might be friends with hundreds of people, only a small fraction of them will buy your products when you launch them. Your entire Facebook page is your audience. Those who buy from you are your buying audience. That second number is way less than the first, and your job once you have an audience is to convert them into buyers, but that is an article for another day. What is audience building? Now that we have defined an audience, it should be easy to explain what building that audience looks like. Audience building is the process of filling those arena seats with more and more people, so your message is heard by more and more people. Audience building does not mean we are increasing our buying audience. That is a function of audience building, but it is not the function we are talking about. We are specifically talking about amplifying your message so that more people hear it, and doing so in a rapid way that will bring tons of new people into your audience. Simply by having a bigger audience, you will find more buyers. However, that is not what we are dealing with now. Where can you build an audience? You can build out an audience anywhere, but it's best to focus on growth where there are already buyers for your products. As authors, that means building out our mailing lists, our retailer platforms, our direct sales, BookBub, and Kickstarter. In this book, we're going to focus on some of the places you can get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of building an audience. Here's how we divvy up the chapters. Chapter 3. Swaps. We share the best cross-promotion software along with how to do newsletter swaps, social media swaps, and deal promotions, even if you don't know many other authors. Chapter 4. Viral promotions. We built our email lists on viral promotions, so we'll share some of the best ones that we know how to run and give you ideas for how you could customize them to your own brand. Chapter 5. Cross-creation. There is marketing and there is creation, and sometimes they are the same thing. We give you all the details on bundling, co-authoring, anthologies, box sets, and shared fictional worlds. Chapter 6. Bestseller runs. Sometimes you're in a position where you need to launch big or get a result in a short amount of time. We talk about list runs to become a USA Today bestseller, Kickstarter runs, affiliate runs, and live event runs. Who is Monica? My name is Monica Leonelle, and I have been independently publishing since 2009. I write young adult fantasy under Solo Storm and romance under other pen names, with about 40 books total in my catalog, 25 of which are fiction. My urban fantasy novella, The Last Daughter, hit the USA Today bestseller list in 2017 as part of a boxed set. I've also written over 15 nonfiction books about writing, editing, publishing, marketing, and business. You can learn more about my work at theworldneedsyourbook.com. Who is Russell? My name is Russell P. Nohelty, and I have been independently publishing since 2014, after several years of being mismanaged by small press publishers. I have launched 18 successful publishing Kickstarter, raising over $250,000 on the platform for comics, anthologies, and novels, and have traveled the country for many years selling my books during conventions. During that time, I have built a thriving mailing list, Facebook page, and authorship community. You can find more of my work at www.russellnohelty.com. We love talking about cross-promotion. Co-writing nonfiction books always brings up questions around how you communicate and speak to the reader. Do we do the I, Russell, and I, Monica, to indicate who's who? Do we go with I, as if we are one person writing to you? We landed on using we, because the truth is that we think the same way about a lot of topics around the publishing world, and we've both built our careers on cross-promotion. Another part of that is we've been aggressively wide at retailers for a long time, and you can just do more with cross-promotion when you are selling your books wide at retailers. More on the whys and hows of this in later chapters. The last part is that we are extremely diversified in terms of niches, genres, and products, offering a wide spectrum of types of books, comics, graphic novels, workbooks, printables, and also diversified in how we sell those books, direct sales and crowdfunding to name a few. To be clear, we are two separate people with two completely separate businesses, aside from our collaborations with this series. Russell has one foot in the comic book industry and the other in fiction, while Monica has several fiction and nonfiction pen names across a diverse set of genres niches. We also both write books, host podcasts, and offer courses to independent authors, and are considered thought leaders in the publishing space. Despite building two very different businesses, we are like-minded on many topics including cross-promotion, from the most basic form with swaps, to viral campaigns that build our list like crazy, too. We've done a lot of this work on tight budgets because building a creative career is about trying to make ends meet until we get to the next project, and having a small nest egg that stretches just enough for us to launch something new into the world. You're probably doing the same out there, which is why many of the cross-promotion strategies in this book can be done on a shoestring budget with a lot of sweat equity. We've also been friends for several years, so we've had the chance to talk about all this stuff. We're pretty much always nodding our heads in agreement when the other is speaking. In the end, when we say we, it means that at least one of us advises this, but probably both of us. Putting our experiences together, we have personal experience with a ton of the opportunities authors have for cross-promotion, which we'll share more about as the book goes on. Who this book is for. This book covers how authors can get the most out of cross-promotion on a lower budget. As such, this book is going to work best for authors who need to get connected to the independent author community for collaborations or networking. Authors in the independent author community, or in a tangential community like serialized fiction, comics, narration, or film and television. Authors who write fiction or nonfiction. Our catalogs have both, and this book can get you up to speed for both. Authors who don't currently have the budget for cost per click, CPC ads, but have the time to dig into free or low-cost tools for marketing. Authors who are serious about building an audience, and who are willing to put in the effort to convert them to fans. We've tried to make this book useful to authors who are coming here for a better understanding of how they can promote and cross-promote their books without running cost per click, CPC advertising. It's possible to have a nice, manageable book launch and sell 100 or a few hundred copies of your book without having to learn CPC advertising right away. We definitely slant more toward the wide mindset, as we are both wide authors. If you would like to know more about this mindset, we have another book on it called Get Your Book Selling Wide. Get the basics of publishing in print, ebook, audiobook, translations, apps, and more. Book Sales Supercharged #1. It's permanently free in ebook at most major retailers. Please check the price before downloading to make sure. Getting things wrong sometimes. This book and Book Sales Supercharged, the series of books that it's attached to, covers an ambitious spread of topics in intense detail. We consider ourselves well-versed in the publishing industry through sheer experience. Between the two of us, we have over 60 titles across fiction, nonfiction, and comics. Successful audiobooks and translations. Titles in multiple genres and niches. Tons of experience selling both ebook and print. Tons of experience with crowdfunding. A solid understanding of Kindle Unlimited versus wide, from experience. Strong internet marketing skills. Still, there is plenty that we don't or can't know. We have done everything humanly possible to get these books right, but there may still be gaps in our knowledge or places where we misstate something. This is where you come in. Please feel free to reach out to Monica with corrections if we've gotten something wrong within these pages or in subsequent books. We want to make these books the best resource they can be, so we won't be offended. You can email Monica at team@theworldneedsyourbook.com or through her personal email, igniterstv@gmail.com. We'll be sure to incorporate those updates into the next version of the book. Additionally, if you want to follow industry news as it's happening, make sure you join Monica's Substack newsletter, Aggressively Wide. aggressivelywide.substack.com. theworldneedsyourbook.com/substack. We also have a Facebook group that we both admin for this book series called Book Sales Supercharged, Advanced Book Marketing for Authors. Please join us as we share lots of awesome stuff related to this book series there. facebook.com/group/booksellasupercharged/. Additional resources. Sign up for Russell's free business course. A free 10-day course highlighting the most important ways authors can start acting like a business. It's the only way to get on my super secret monthly creative newsletter, filled with inspirational ideas about how to lead a creative life. http://thecompletecreative.com/FBC. Sign up for Monica's industry newsletter. The best place to keep up with this conversation is to join my industry Substack newsletter, Aggressively Wide. theworldneedsyourbook.com/Substack. Check out Russell's blog. The Complete Creative helps authors lead a successful creative life, dealing with everything from mindset and creativity to sales and marketing. I've posted hundreds of blog posts, courses, and podcast archives discussing what it means to be a creative human. www.thecompletecreative.com. Subscribe to Monica's podcast. I post new 20-minute episodes about publishing going wide, serialized fiction, industry trends, and so much more on YouTube and my podcast feed. theworldneedsyourbook.com/podcast. theworldneedsyourbook.com/YouTube. Follow Monica on Medium. I post regular articles about the publishing industry if you prefer to read about new developments. theworldneedsyourbook.com/medium. Check out the rest of the series. The Book Sales Supercharged series focuses on each retailer, format, and platform, diving deep into everything you need to know to succeed in that particular space. You can find all the information about the series, plus grab the entire set of books in a bundle directly from my website at a significant discount to purchasing each individually at retailers. theworldneedsyourbook.com/wide. Chapter 2. Why Authors Struggle to Cross-Promote. Before we get started with the many ways that you can cross-promote and market your books on a relatively low budget, we wanted to give you two lists. The first is a list of why we see authors not promoting using these methods, and how to get past it. The second is a list of all the setup that is helpful to have to take advantage of cross-promotion and marketing opportunities for your books on a regular basis. Book marketing is a muscle you train. At first it will probably seem overwhelming, and yes, you'd rather be writing, us too. But part of your work as a writer is to figure out how to share your writing with the world, so marketing is a requirement, not an option. First, let's get past all the reasons that you may not be doing much marketing on your books right now. Why authors struggle to cross-promote. Not knowing other authors. It doesn't matter if you don't know other authors right now, you can get to know them by working with them. Authors are usually not friends before they start cross-promoting with each other. You can find authors to cross-promote with in various Facebook groups that specialize in different areas of cross-promotion. We've sprinkled these groups throughout this book in the related chapter that they belong to. Not knowing the opportunities available, you don't know what you don't know. But that's why you have this book. We will tell you the main options for cross-promotion and book marketing in the next 4 chapters. Believing that they need to offer something to others first, while it helps to have a setup for promotions first, that's in the next section. There are some options that can work for you even if you have very little to offer. Do you have a sample few chapters of your book? Do you have a Facebook profile? You can start with just the promotions you are set up for, and build from there, getting a little more of your author platform into place each time you do another promotion. Not set up to handle cross-promotions. Sign up for the cross-promotions that require the least and build your author platform from there. Setting up for these promotions does take a lot if you do it all at once, but if you take it step by step, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Not being willing to organize promotions. No one should organize a promotion type that they've never participated in before, but once you participate in a promotion type, you should know the basics so you can run your own. Taking initiative is rewarded in this career. Yes, you will do a lot more work, and sure, maybe you'll run into headaches caused by other people or software, but don't be afraid to be a leader because leaders tend to sell more books. Not making promotions a consistent part of efforts. We both struggle with not promoting ourselves enough or consistently because everyone struggles with it. Yes, that 7-figure author over there feels exactly the way you do, like they are not doing enough, or like they could be doing more to promote their books. They too wonder if it's worth it, wish they didn't have to do so much, and stress out about how much they're spending and if it will pay off. Welcome to being an independent author. The only thing that separates the successful from the rest is that the successful feel the fear and choose to take action anyway. Overwhelmed with how many promotions are possible. This book will likely overwhelm you with ideas to promote your books. Choose one and execute. Then choose a second one and execute. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and the most important thing you can do is get more consistent than you currently are about getting your books in front of the right target audiences as often as you can handle. Not networking and cross-promoting with the right authors. Lots of writers think that any author is better than no authors at all, but if you promote with the wrong authors who write outside of your genre, you are not showing your book to the readers most likely to enjoy your books, and not showing their book to authors who will enjoy theirs, making these promotional efforts ineffective, and everyone having a bad time. When you look to cross-promote, look for authors who have the same audience as you, and whose books are similar to yours in as many ways as possible. Setting yourself up for cross-promotion. There are a number of things that you can set up for your author business that will make cross-promotion much easier for you. These all fall under the umbrella of your author platform, and we consider these assets and activities to be building the tracks. Once you build your marketing tracks, it's far easier to send promotional trains down the rail. Until you do this, your marketing efforts will feel like a slog, and a lot of what you try won't work very quickly. That said, no one built a railroad in a day. Take this list one step at a time, and build a small portion of your author platform for now. Use that to do a cross-promotion, then rinse and repeat. If you do this for 3 to 6 months, you will see tangible results on your book marketing. Here's the list. Your publishing strategy. You should know whether you are publishing at full price, using a perma-free strategy, or whatever else, as that will affect which promotions are most relevant to you. Your publishing schedule. Promotions of all types are often scheduled in advance and coordinated with others. You need to know when you are publishing, so you can get pre-orders up, book dates, have links to submit, and more. You genuinely can't promote unless you know your dates for what's coming. Your time to work on marketing. Just as you once had to carve out time in your schedule for writing regularly, so will you have to do it for marketing. Lots of authors spend 2 to 4 hours a day on marketing. We recommend starting with 30 minutes a day and building up to the level that works for your schedule and that you can consistently accomplish. Your email list and newsletter. Before you even get a website, we recommend having an email list. This is a list of leads that you own and can contact over and over again. You may also be building a list of buyers who have bought, read, and shared your books. You need both types of lists in the long run, but having one or the other for now will do. But get that sign-up form up ASAP. Your freebies. The most valuable piece of marketing material you have is always going to be a sample of your work. Always. So you need to know what your freebies and 99 cents are. Some ideas include prequel novella, perma-free first in series, scenes from another perspective, short story, excerpt sample, newsletter exclusives, bonus scenes epilogues. How Monica gets more freebie content. The main way I get my freebies done is through joining boxed sets. I need a deadline. I usually let my future freebie run in a boxed set or anthology first, for an exclusive period. Eventually, it comes out of exclusivity and I republish. It may take time for me to get it together, but when I look back, every freebie I have now was written originally for a boxed set promotion. I like it because it forces me to write something that can draw readers into my paid books, and I get in front of new audiences with my future freebie. I also get paid in the meantime, and get to do something fun with other authors. And sometimes we make a list, like with The Last Daughter, which hit USA Today. These promos end up being really helpful permafrees that are long enough to promote and get substantial interest in. I try to make them 30K plus so they hit 150 pages for BookBub, and they are short enough to where I don't feel like I'm losing much money by giving them away for free. Additional helpful assets and activities. Cross-promotion opportunities are inherently event-based, meaning that you have certain times where you promote something. This means you must keep a schedule, and usually multiple schedules. This alone can be enough to scare authors away, but ideally it just takes a bit of organization to keep up. We have many schedules that we follow in our individual businesses, including a general promotion schedule of which books we are promoting when, a list of newsletter deal sites that we use, a spot on our websites to promote BookFunnel and other cross-promos that we join, a list of direct sales promos that we host, box sets that we host, viral list building giveaways that we host, box sets that we've joined. Monica is currently in about 10 box sets anthologies, not including the one she runs, giveaways, and other random list builders that we join, in-store in-app promotions that we enter. There are a lot of things to keep track of when you are promoting regularly, but calendars, schedules, and spreadsheets are going to be your friend. Take the time to put a little organization around your efforts. As you read this book, let yourself meditate on how best to keep track of all the potential cross-promotion and marketing opportunities you want to try. Do some research to get clear on what each opportunity requires of you. And have fun, because most of the marketing you can do is really exciting once you get into a groove of how to do it. And especially when it starts to work and you see new sales coming in that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Chapter 3. Swaps. The first major grouping of cross-promotion marketing strategies we want to talk about are swaps. Swaps are really just about getting your work in front of similar-minded audiences. You want to leverage other people's audiences that they've already built to do some of the qualification efforts for you. In this chapter, we're mostly talking about running swaps with other authors in your genre or in a similar genre to yours. But you can also think of leveraging other people's audiences as getting in front of any audience that is highly targeted. There are tons of promotion deal sites that build highly targeted email lists of readers, and you can pay a minimal fee to get in front of their lists as well. Let's dive deep into cross-promotion software, newsletter swaps, social media swaps, and newsletter promotion deal sites. Number 1. Cross-promotion software. Companies like BookFunnel, StoryOrigin, Prolific Works, and more offer ways to connect with other authors and run joint promotions between you. BookFunnel, for example, offers the ability to set up newsletter list builders, sales traffic builders, and more. Once you get the software, you set up each of your books as either a newsletter sign-up or a sales page where you put all your links to retailers. You can then go to the promotions section and join various promotions where you meet the requirements. Once you've joined a few and gotten a sense of how they work, you can also set up your own to attract other authors to cross-promote with you under the themes that you want. You should participate in these cross-promotions for newsletter subscribers, perma-free downloads, sales on your low-priced ebooks. If you have a perma-free book that's wide at multiple retailers, you can create both a sales page and a newsletter sign-up, so you can sign up for both list builders and sales traffic builders with a single book, which means double the results. Each promotion has its own requirements, but the majority start at the beginning of each month and run for 1 month. Shares are critical, so don't overdo it on signing up. You'll be sharing your tracking link for each promotion, and many organizers will remove you from the promotion if you are not getting at least 30 to 50 shares. The best place to share will be in your newsletter, but you can also post to social media, which requires maintaining your social media accounts, a double win. Number 2. Newsletter swaps. If you want a more personal touch than a group giveaway, you can look for creators to do newsletter swaps with who have similar audiences to yours. You will ask these other authors to share your work, usually in the form of a deal in their newsletter. If you don't have a big audience, you can't lock down a swap with somebody who has an enormous audience right off the bat, unless you are willing to pay for it. But you can daisy chain your way up to bigger lists over time as your audience grows. Start swapping with authors who have smaller newsletters, as even doing a swap with somebody that has a couple hundred people on their list will help build your brand. Once you build your email list through the cross-promotion software, you'll have bigger list numbers and more leverage. If you implement the other strategies mentioned above, along with seeking out newsletter swaps, you can start arranging bigger and more powerful swaps with more influential lists as your audience grows. Additionally, there are things you can do to make newsletter swaps more appealing to bigger and more influential lists, like offering to pay for an advertisement or offering an affiliate referral commission. Fiction authors are not as picky as non-fiction around how large your email list is, so sometimes people will share things just because they are cool and interesting. You could get lucky. Who knows? But don't count on it. Instead, build your own list so you have something of value to offer others. This is how you make newsletter swaps work for you. Facebook has a lot of newsletter swap groups, and most are organized by genre. You can use their search bar to find them. To get started with general swap groups, check out these. Wide for the win, newsletter swaps, https://www.facebook.com/group/791442171751851855/. Author newsletter share and swap, https://www.facebook.com/group/271411876586431/. Wide author newsletter and promo exchange, https://www.facebook.com/groups/465381144277853. There are also tons of companies that help facilitate newsletter swaps between authors, including StoryOrigin, BookHub, and more. And if you don't have a newsletter or are struggling to build it, there are many services that can help you, including Littering, Author XP, BookSweeps, and more. If you want a full list of useful Facebook groups, promotions companies, and other resources, please download our master list of useful Facebook links for authors freebie here. The world needs your book.com/Facebook-authors-masterlist. Number 3. Social media swaps. One of the coolest things you can do to grow your audience quickly is a group takeover. Most creators have a Facebook group or membership community where their most engaged fans hang out. While you are connecting with creators, you can ask them about taking over their group, or their page if they don't have a group, and doing an Ask Me Anything (AMA), or posting sneak peeks of your work, giveaways, or answers to questions about a topic. This is a really cool way to get new fans and start building your own community. Usually, these takeovers last for 2 to 4 hours, but you don't have to be involved the whole time. When you do an official takeover, the creator will hype up your work for a couple of days beforehand, and then introduce you personally to their group, which means they've now vouched for you to their group, thus making your job way easier. Every group takeover is different, but if you do it right, both you and the creator win, because they are introducing you as a new cool thing their audience should get behind, and you are able to provide value to their group in return. In order to participate in this type of swap, you ideally need your own social media channels. You are expected to promote the takeover or takeover party sometimes, or sometimes the person you're doing a takeover with will want to do a takeover in your group too. Even if you don't have a plan to convert readers who find your social media into buyers who are excited about your work, social media can still be useful for these types of swaps. If you don't have a big following, you may be interested in social media builders. There are a few individuals and companies that do these, including Fiction Atlas Author Builders, https://www.facebook.com/group/fabled-and-promo. Book Queendom Authors, https://www.facebook.com/group/2247549378684799. Some types of takeovers that you may encounter are group or page takeovers. Facebook parties where many authors have scheduled takeovers of one group for a set number of days, popular for anthologies and box sets. Hops tours of a specific social media platform like a TikTok hop. Authors who are hosting social media builders, where you can use a giveaway to get a lot of people to your social profiles. You can find these social media swap opportunities in the same places that you usually find newsletter swaps. You may also find them in the boxed set groups. Margot's group for authors, box sets, https://www.facebook.com/group/25033161866466612/. Wide Anthology, Boxed Sets, and Shared Worlds Brands Collaboration Group, https://www.facebook.com/group/188642269649938/. Lastly, if you have a ton of author friends in your genre on your Facebook profile, and we recommend that you do, you can simply make a post to your Facebook wall saying, "I have a new release or a promotion deal coming up and I need to get the word out. Author friends, can I post in your group?" We see these posts regularly in our feeds across all genres, and we also see dozens of authors posting in the comments that the person can post in their reader group. The reason authors love this is because they get to keep engagement high in their own group with more posting. They are usually happy to help out another author, and they hope that when they have a new release they can post in your group. Number 4. Newsletter Promotion Deal Sites. As was mentioned at the beginning of the chapter, you can also pay to have your books featured in newsletter sites like BookBub, Fussy Librarian, BookDoggy, and more. These are sites that are specifically dedicated to building a readership of people looking for book deals, usually priced at free or 99 cents. All of these sites are pay-to-play, but it doesn't cost much to play in most cases, and you can reach very dedicated whale readers for not a ton of money compared to CPC advertising. When you buy an advertising spot with any of these newsletters, they will send the listing of your book to their readers, and try to drive traffic and sales to your books on retailers. Nothing is guaranteed, and your sell-through will depend on many factors, including your book cover, book description, product pages, and the general demand for the type of story you are telling. You can find a paid newsletter master list here. https://www.facebook.com/group/wide4the1/post/867542003756650/. Additional resources. Wide for the Win, Newsletter Swaps, https://www.facebook.com/group/791442171751855/. Author Newsletter Share and Swap, https://www.facebook.com/group/271411876586431/. Wide Author Newsletter and Promo Exchange, https://www.facebook.com/group/465381144277853. Fiction Atlas Author Builders, https://www.facebook.com/group/Fabledan-Promo. Book Queendom Authors, https://www.facebook.com/group/22475493786847999. Margot's Group for Authors, Boxed Sets, https://503,316,186,646,612. Wide Anthology, Boxed Sets, and Shared Worlds Brands Collaboration Group, https://www.facebook.com/group/188642269649938/. Paid Newsletter Master List, https://www.facebook.com/group/wide4the1/post/867542003756650/. If you want a full list of useful Facebook groups and other resources, please download our master list of useful Facebook links for authors freebie here. The world needs your book.com/facebook-authors-masterlist. Chapter 4. Viral Promotions. We talked in Chapter 1 about how some of the strategies in this book will include inorganic growth methods. As a refresher, there are many definitions of what that means, but for us, organic growth is when somebody sees your work and signs up to hear more from you because they like you already. Inorganic growth, by contrast, is when you are using somebody else's brand to build your audience and then working to convert them into people who love your stuff as well. Inorganic growth is way faster than organic growth. However, the people you bring into your ecosystem could take longer to convert into fans and likely have a way smaller conversion percentage than those who come to you organically. We feel it's still worth growing your brand this way because it's cheaper and faster than organic growth. And while they don't convert as well as organic growth, the sheer volume of people you can reach with by using inorganic growth methods is incredible, and more than makes up for in quantity what you lose in quality. If you do it right, then you are targeting people who are in your perfect audience. It's then up to you to make them fans of your work. However, if you put in the work, you can create fans from these potential customers. What does it mean to be viral anyway? The key to virality is giving a target audience a reason to join and a reason to share. It requires access to the audience, which you can get from implementing Chapter 3 or sending targeted Facebook ads to the viral campaign. In this chapter, we'll be focused on viral list building methods rather than trying to make a specific piece of content go viral. In general, virality is going to work better for you when you have a predictable popular book, TV show, or franchise. We'll talk about 3 types of general viral campaigns: viral giveaways, viral quizzes, and viral challenges. Number 1. Viral giveaways. Viral giveaways are the key to building a huge audience. The most effective way to grow your audience quickly is by implementing viral giveaways into your business. Remember when we talked about inorganic growth? This is a very powerful one that we've both used to massively grow our email lists for years and years. What is a viral giveaway? Viral giveaways are sweepstakes that rely on virality for rapid growth. Virality, according to dictionary.com, means the tendency of an image, video, or piece of information to be circulated rapidly and widely from one internet user to another. The goal of a viral giveaway is to construct an enticing giveaway that has a high probability of being shared and entered a lot. You might be offering books or movies or gift cards. The more enticing your giveaway, the more likely people are to enter them and share it with the world. To run a viral giveaway, you need an affordable piece of software that can host all the mechanisms of a viral giveaway. The most popular programs are KingSumo Giveaways, Gleam.io, and Rafflecopter. We've used all 3 of these, and we both tend toward the KingSumo Giveaways plugin for WordPress. Viral giveaways are a great way to build your audience fast. But what do you do after you've gotten the email address? Once you have people on your list, you can run an automated sequence to get them into your ecosystem. You definitely won't get everyone, but if you are tightly targeted, you can probably get many to convert. And even if they don't convert through sending emails, you can still use the email list to retarget Facebook ads or to build lookalike audiences, which will help you find more people who love a lot of the things that you've probably put in your book. How Russell uses viral giveaways. From 2015 to 2017, I grew my mailing list from 0 to over 2,000 people using organic growth techniques. That's awesome, and 2,000 subscribers is a lot. However, once I implemented viral giveaways into my business, I was about to grow my list from 2,000 to 40,000 plus in just over 8 months. Currently, I have triple the amount of people opening my emails than I had on my entire list for the first 3 years of my company's existence. That is the power of viral giveaways. For example, I used Lovecraft as the theme for this giveaway because Lovecraft is a hugely popular and influential author among the horror community. I also happen to have a Lovecraft-themed anthology called Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. I used this giveaway, which got 5,400 entries, as the base for my marketing efforts around that book. That is why this is inorganic growth. The giveaway has nothing to do with my work. It has everything to do with the work of somebody else, in this case, Lovecraft, whose audience has a high probability of loving my work as well, even though they know nothing about my work at the time of entry. This strategy works because somebody who signs up for a Lovecraft giveaway would likely also be interested in a Lovecraft anthology. Since I produced a Lovecraft anthology, the chances are high that they will also buy that book from me. Therefore, if I can get them to like and trust me, I can turn that prospect into a buyer. Now, I know what you are thinking. Russell, you said at the beginning that this wouldn't cost much money, and for sure that costs money, right? Yes, that is true. This kind of giveaway costs $250 for the prizes and then more money for the advertising. However, I ran this as a group giveaway, which ended up with 30 sponsors. Each of those sponsors paid part of the costs, and they were allowed access to the mailing list once the giveaway was over. That meant instead of paying $1,000 to run the giveaway myself, it cost me only a fraction of that to be one of the sponsors. This allowed me to keep the marketing costs low while adding 5,000 plus emails to my mailing list. Additionally, I built up several social media channels during the viral giveaway as well. Entrants to the giveaway could receive additional entries for following the sponsors on different social media channels. For this giveaway, I chose to build out my BookBub, Kickstarter, and Street Team Facebook group, each of which grew by 100 plus during the week I ran the giveaway. Before using viral giveaways, it would take me a month or more to get 100 people to follow my page. Now I can get those same results in a single week, if not quicker. Using these techniques, I grew my BookBub followers from 0 to over 2,400 in 3 months, and grew my Street Team Facebook group by over 1,200 members in a single month, all while adding thousands to my mailing list. Are there some costs associated with this? Yes, there are some costs. However, you can cut them down significantly by recruiting like-minded humans to participate in these giveaways with you. How Monica converted giveaway subscribers to readers. When I did a giveaway for a relaunch of my young adult novel series, I wanted to get reviewers for my books. I did my usual 4-part email autoresponder to get people invested in my work from a general giveaway. The 4-part email autoresponder is not anything overly complicated. It basically just follows the 4-part structure that you probably know from writing novels. Here are the 4 emails I sent. Email number 1: Welcome to the giveaway. Hey there, fellow ya book lover, and welcome to our Angels and Vampires giveaway. My name is Monica Leonelle, and I'm the lady in charge at Angel and Vampire Reads on Facebook. Make sure you join our Facebook group, because we are doing some awesome flash giveaways and secret giveaways this month. Link to the group. A little more about me, Monica Leonelle. Number 1, I love Harry Potter, Twilight, The Hunger Games, The Mortal Instruments, The Vampire Diaries, Gossip Girl, Pretty Little Liars, and more. Give me a movie, television show, or book aimed at young adults, and I'm totally there, ready to fangirl out. Number 2, I'm a full-time author, and I've been writing in a lot of genres for many years, but my truest love is young adult urban fantasy and paranormal romance. I've been working on my first big series since 2009, and it's finally headed out into the world in a big way. More on this in a minute. Number 3, I live in a very, very old 3-story home in St. Louis, Mo, with my husband and adorable Westie, Mia. It possibly has ghosts. And definitely has a secret passage. Number 4, my office is filled with tarot and oracle cards, crystals, and dozens of pretty notebooks full of my ideas. I drink tea, not coffee. I spend a lot of my time journaling, and even more of it in my head. I believe in 1111, and I have friends who speak to angels and aliens alike. All of this influences my stories. Number 5, I have been sitting on my best story of all, the first one that got me into writing in the first place, for 7 years now. I'm one of those people who struggles to do the one thing that actually matters. And that's what my new series, Waters Dark and Deep, is to me. It means so much, it's so important, so naturally I've let fear and excuses stop me from publishing it. Can you relate? I'll tell you more about my shame in number 5 at another time, but the good news is that this month, I made the decision to go all in on my series. Woohoo! And I have an opportunity for you to read the series first, for free, if you're interested. I'll share more details about that in a few days. Email number 2: angels or vampires? Question: which do you like more, angels or vampires? Seriously, we at Angel and Vampire Reads really want to know, so tell us here. Link to the Facebook post. While you're doing that, can I tell you more about my major author shame that has been hanging over my head for the last 7 years? So here's the whole sordid drama of what happened, in chronological order. 2009, I hated my job. My best friend and coworker hated her job too. So obviously, we spent a good chunk of the workday talking about and reading books. Then I wrote a chapter about an idea I'd had, and she read it and loved it. So I kept sending her chapters to amuse her. Hey, coping mechanisms. 2010-2011, I realized these chapters added up to a book. Duh. I spent about a year editing and figuring out how to get the damn thing published. It was slow going, but the book finally came out February 2011. It was massive. I learned later that the one book was actually the equivalent of several books. Oops. #newbie author problems. This book wasn't right for the market and eventually got pulled, but it was the start of what is now the Waters Dark and Deep series. 2011, a few months later, my marriage fell apart. I was only 27 years old. We had only been married for 4 years. My divorce lawyer promptly advised me to stop writing and promoting any and all of my books, because my ex owned half and could use them in negotiations. Read, he could take me for a lot more money than he was already trying to already. Boo. Early 2013, the divorce finally went through. Ex signed away all his rights to all my intellectual property created during our marriage. I was free. I started writing and publishing more stuff in nonfiction under my name and contemporary romance under a pen name. 2013, a few months later, I republished my Waters Dark and Deep series, breaking the story up into more manageable chunks. 2014 to 2016, real life took over and I needed to do things like pay bills. I made the transition from freelancer to full-time author at this time. I built a company and a team. I got remarried. I bought a house. A lot of good things happened. None of them were writing this particular series. Hangs head in author shame. Today, I'm finally headed back to the Waters Dark and Deep series. But naturally, I'm scared. Because this is a series that has been living in my head for the past 7 years. So here's my invitation to you, and I'm really hoping you'll say yes. I would love for you to be a part of the series in a small way, and I'll be giving away free ebook copies of the first book in the series so you can. More details on this coming shortly, very shortly. In the meantime, Angel and Vampire Reads is hosting flash giveaways every week for the next 8 weeks. Wow! You can find the flash giveaway for this week here. Link to the Facebook post. Email number 3: get your review copies. Have you joined our review team yet? The short. Step 1: grab the first book here, link. Step 2: write a review on Amazon. Step 3: forward or link to your review to email. We will add you to our review team, where you can get subsequent review copies of the series, as long as you keep reviewing. As I said a few emails back, I've been working on my Waters Dark and Deep series for about 7 years. 7 years is a long time to work on a project, and it would have been really easy to give up on Waters Dark and Deep after my divorce. After all, my love of books and desire to quit my high-paying corporate job and become a tortured broke artist is part of what caused my divorce in the first place. Ironically, getting divorced at first had me writing way less. It's tough to write when you're sad or depressed. But now, only 5 years after that one decision changed the course of my life, I can truly say I have the life I want. I have a loving and supportive spouse. I get to be a full-time writer-artist, and I get to write the Waters Dark and Deep series, a story that's been in my heart and played out in my dreams for the past 7 years. I realize, though, that everything happens in its proper time. Because this series needed a lot of prep, and I needed to grow as a person before I could write it. Here are some ways I had to prepare. I needed to get out of my bad relationship. Once I did this, my world shifted from dark to light, and I realized that this series was about a shift from dark to light. I needed to write more. After nearly 20 books in other genres, I was able to hone my craft and develop the skills necessary to make this series awesome. I needed to earn a living. You can't think or write when you can't take care of yourself. I've been through so many personal challenges with trying to pay my bills over the years, and learning how to do this, make art and make money, has been my own personal heroine's journey. #GirlBoss. So now I'm in the last stretch. The first few books in the series are ready to go, and I've done everything in my power to make sure this is an amazing story. But I need a bit of help to get this series across the finish line. I'm currently looking for some amazing readers to read and review the first book in the series, called Instruments of the Angels. If you're interested and willing to help me out, you can sign up for the reviewer list, and I'll send you a free ebook copy of the first book in the Waters Dark and Deep series for your review. Sign up here, link. These reviews are so important because they help other readers decide whether they want to read the book or not, so the more people willing to help out, the better. I'm inviting you to sign up to be a reviewer for my series here. Link. I would so appreciate your help. Email number 4, get your review copies. Thank you so much to all who have reviewed Instruments of the Angels and made the launch a huge success. We have some awesome reviews of the series, and the book is holding steady in the top 20 of several categories on Amazon. I couldn't have done it without your support. We've also got some news. Surprise! Are you caught up yet? I feel really excited that so many people are enjoying Waters Dark and Deep already. I've been working on book number 2, and OMG, it's going to be even better than book number 1. I seriously can't wait. Major revelations, progress on certain romances, tons of tension, secrets, and drama between the characters. Guessed what? Books number 2 and number 3 are up on pre-order, and they both release later this month. Hopefully you're either catching up or have a plan to start reading soon. Today we're revealing covers and descriptions. Be amongst the first to see them here. Link. OMG, the dresses. Make sure you look up close. Move over, Beyoncé. These young adult novel heroines are winning Best Dressed for the night. So far, my very favorite cover of the series is book number 2. Most people love number 1 though, what do you think? This series is off to a great start. But I do need a little help to get the word out about Waters Dark and Deep, which is why I'm giving you a free review copy of the book if you want it. I'm trying to get to about 100 reviews of this series in the next month. To do that, I need to find more people interested in reviewing the book. If you think that might be you, here's a description. About Instruments of the Angels. Bree Van Rossum is still recovering from her mother's death when she discovers that she is a Hallow, a descendant of humans and archangels. But she's not just any Hallow. She's one of the last daughters of Michael, like Milena, her mother. And now, she doesn't know which of her new supernatural acquaintances she can trust. As she pulls back the veil on the supernatural world, she learns that not only has she inherited Milena's powers, but her enemies as well. And now that Milena's protection has worn off, those enemies are headed toward her to wipe out the daughters of Michael for good. Untrained and unsure of herself, she must navigate her mother's omissions and half-truths to keep her identity secret, unite her allies, and most importantly, stay alive. A broken family, a deadly secret, and impossible romance. Instruments of the Angels is the first book in Waters Dark and Deep, a young adult urban fantasy series by Monica Leonelle, recommended for teens 14+. Grab a review copy here at no cost, link. Why review? We are just starting to build our launch team for our books, and we're doing giveaways in our launch team every single week on Tuesdays. These are usually $10 minus 20 prizes, so nothing too big, but perfect for people who love our books, want to support us, and enjoy young adult fantasy, sci-fi, and/or romance. Additionally, all members of our launch team are able to sign up for ARCs of our books. As long as you keep reviewing, you can keep getting review copies. Pretty cool. Are you in? Grab a review copy here at no cost, link. Thanks for checking out the books. Now, there are a lot of reasons that this copy worked really well for me, and everything I wrote was true and sincere throughout the whole automation. What ended up happening? 1054 entrants. 178 reviewer sign-ups, about a 17% conversion. 90+ reviews on the first book, with a few other efforts thrown in there. I had about 350 people total sign up to be reviewers, so the conversion was about 20 to 25%, which is a little higher than industry standard. I also converted to sales, but that's another story. If you'd like to get this case study and the breakdown of why this launch sequence worked, you can sign up at kickstartyournovel.com. Number 2. Viral quizzes. A viral quiz is a great list builder, and one you don't see as often in the fiction world. These are used regularly in nonfiction, particularly for higher ticket products and services than what books normally go for. There are many reasons to run a viral quiz. High engagement. Quizzes get engagement from cold traffic and readers alike, and there are very few other marketing efforts that get someone to click so many times. People who take your quiz will be spending at least a few minutes on something you created, and if you create a quiz in alignment with your writing style and books, you'll likely get good conversion on your eventual call to action. Heavily shared. Quiz results are some of the most shared pieces of content on the internet. We talk more about what specific psychological triggers are being tapped into to create this result, and why quizzes are so viral. Evergreen. Unlike many of the other cross-promotion options we share in this book, a viral quiz is a piece of content that is as evergreen as a blog post. You can create it once and keep using it year after year, which is a huge plus since these take a bit more work to create and tweak for good and repeatable results. We sometimes see authors using a viral quiz to get visibility on their book links, and while that's not a bad use of them, we recommend instead using a viral quiz for list building. Like with viral giveaways, this requires a special piece of software. Monica uses WP Forms, which allows images, crucial for a fun viral quiz for fiction, and also lets you create more advanced quiz types with conditional logic. The challenge with creating a viral quiz is that you need a reason for someone to give you their email address, usually at the end of the quiz, and you also need a reason for someone to share their quiz results, also usually at the end of the quiz. Let's first tackle the latter. Why should someone share their quiz results? Usually it's because their quiz result is either funny, a joke, or an absurdity. It gives them bragging rights, trivia-driven, or it tells them something about themselves, personality-driven. It can help to have both, especially if it is in the tone of your story. We recommend that unless being funny is really on brand, you stick to the personality or trivia quiz and try to be funny and clever in that context. There are 3 types of trivia and personality quizzes that work pretty well for fiction. Number 1, a general quiz inspired by your tropes. This is going to work well for your story if your tropes have several categories that you can create around them. Trope, Dragons Quiz. What's your dragon personality type? Trope, Runaway Brides Quiz. What zany way would you leave the wrong guy at the altar? Trope, Western Frontier Quiz. How would you survive the Oregon Trail? The upside to this one is you reach people who love your specific tropes, which is a great way to qualify leads to your books. The downside is that even if someone loves your quiz, they don't necessarily read and/or they're not necessarily looking for books about the trope. This is not that uncommon in fiction, however, and through ads you could target someone who likes dragons but also likes ebooks to narrow it down to your ideal target readers. If you want to really target your ideal readers, you could do a quiz called, What Book Personality Type Are You? For this, you would use the most popular books in your genre, ideally pulling from traditional publishing as well as top charters for independent authors, and treat them like personalities that could describe a reader. A variation on this might be, what should your next FI romance book read be? Hopefully you get the idea. Number 2. A specific quiz inspired by your story and world. This is going to work well for your story if you can come up with a few categories of personality type for your quiz. For example, Game of Thrones and its many houses would work well because everyone wants to know which house they are in. If you have something similar in your book, what we call sorting hat teams, which is common in fantasy and sci-fi, that's probably going to be the simplest foundation for your quiz. And you don't have to write fantasy for this to work. You can also base your quiz on locations in your book. If your locations have different feels personalities, this can work well. Main characters across your series. If you have different main characters or couples for each book, this can work well. Or worldviews and belief systems. If your book has a really strong theme like saving the environment, this could work well. Trope. Dragon's quiz. Are you a Gellert dragon or a Pendaloo dragon? Trope. Runaway brides quiz. Which runaway brides couple plus love story is yours? Trope. Western frontier quiz. Buck, Jules, James, or Sally, your Oregon Trail personality type discovered. The upside to this one is that it's a great list builder for people who have already read your books, and when those readers and fans share their quiz results, they are able to easily recommend your book to their followers as well. The downside is that it's a little harder to reach new readers with this type of quiz. If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, for example, you probably don't have a burning desire to find out which house you're in. You likely don't know enough about the world building of that show to care. Number 3. A general quiz about a popular franchise. This is going to work well if your comparison books fit one of the other two options above. You can create a quiz like, which Disney princess are you? You could also create a trivia quiz where people try to answer questions about the franchise correctly. The upside to this one is that it helps you find your target readers, especially if you are doing some tight targeting around this. If you write fairy tales, for example, Disney princesses may work really well for you. The downside is that you might get in trouble with the franchise for using their likeness and imagery without licensing them. Unlike giveaways, where you would clearly need to use the image of the product you are giving away, with quizzes, there's not a clear-cut legal reason to use the images. That said, fan fiction sites along with BuzzFeed create quizzes like this all the time. In fact, some of BuzzFeed's most successful quizzes with over 1 million views have been about Disney princesses, so you are probably okay on this front. If you are risk-averse, however, you may want to shy away from this one, or find a creative way to implement it without using copyrighted or trademarked material. One thing you'll notice about all of these options is that they focus entirely on the potential reader. Which one are you? Is the theme for a reason? People take quizzes to read funny or clever things about themselves. We encourage you not to create a quiz that's more about you or your books, because this particular virality list builder relies on the psychological trigger of personalization. Getting the email address. Now that we've tackled the psychology of how to get people to share your quiz, let's talk about how to get the email list sign up. For a giveaway, it's very easy to get the sign up because there is an obvious reason. People want to be notified if they win. But for a quiz, the reason is a little less clear. There are a few potential options. Number 1, get your quiz result. You could ask for an email address simply to get their quiz result. The upside to this is that if they've invested several minutes and clicks into inputting their information for the quiz, they are more motivated to get the answers that they wanted. The downside to this is that it's not typically the way online quizzes in the entertainment category are set up, so they may feel annoyed, or like they've been baited and switched. We've clicked away from quizzes like this because giving away our emails is something we do to receive something cool, not because something we expected to get for free is being held hostage until we hand it over. You'll likely lose a lot of quiz takers, and even the ones you get onto your list might be irate and unsubscribe quickly after they get their result. That said, this is the easiest option, and one compromise is that you could have two buttons, one that says "Email me my quiz result," and another that says "Display my quiz result." This could work well and convert higher if it's a longer quiz, and people want to save their answers for some reason. Number 2, get a more detailed report on your quiz result. You could offer basic quiz results for free, but ask for an email address to send more in-depth quiz results. This is probably going to work better for personality-based quizzes instead of trivia ones, but you could find a reason to collect an email address for a trivia one too. You could also offer something that continues to play into the psychological trigger for these two types of quizzes, personalization and cleverness bragging rights, respectively. Some ideas are: let us send you your master trivia certificate, or badges. Let us send you our even trickier trivia quiz about blank. Let us send you more info about how you really could have survived, or bitten the dust, on the Oregon Trail. Let us send you our best recommendations on dragon movies, TV shows, and books based on your results. Don't forget to include your own in this. Number 3, get a free gift, usually a book. For this option, you would essentially put the contents of your usual perma-free list builder landing page at the top of the page, with a scroll down for quiz result message to satisfy the potential reader. In this way, you'll get visibility on the things you are already giving away, which are likely list builders, permafrees, and series starters already. This option has the benefit of being very targeted to what you eventually want them to do, buy your books, but of course the downside is that you get a lower conversion on it because it has less to do with the quiz they've just taken. Number 4, sign up for something else. Beyond content, you could display something highly related to the quiz, like a sign-up to a viral giveaway. This works pretty similarly to getting a free gift, and the conversions have the same upsides and downsides. Getting more traction on your quiz. You can supercharge your quiz by crossing it with other cross-promotion methods, particularly those that are already viral. For example, your quiz could be part of a viral challenge, or your quiz could come attached to a viral giveaway. You can also cross it with so many other things, and pull the quiz into your many marketing channels, like social media, the back of your books, your advertising, your website, and so much more. Most form software also allows you to put a Facebook pixel on your website pages, so this is another way to follow up on a quiz if you don't convert someone to your email list right away. You may also want to try all 3 of the main quiz types, especially if you can get one of them to convert from cold traffic. Or you may want to have one quiz for generating leads and one quiz for engaging with fans. Number 3, viral challenges. Challenges are another fun invention from the nonfiction world, built specifically to give people a taste of what you have to offer and to get them to take action that starts a transformation. For example, Monica has a 30-day novel prep challenge for writers who participate in National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. During the 30 days of October of 2020, she sent one outlining video per day, along with helpful resources related to the topic from all around the internet. She had several hundred people sign up and held a 50% engagement rate over email opens and clicks for the duration of the challenge. In 2020, challenge participants could complete their worksheets and reshare screenshots of them on social media. Some did. But Monica realized that challenges are all about community and staying accountable to self and each other. In 2021, she will run the challenge with a Facebook group, Discord, and email list to keep people engaged and help them get an outlined book before they start NaNoWriMo in November. You may be wondering how a challenge, which is currently almost always used in nonfiction to sell products, courses, and services, translates to the fiction world. Novelists are selling entertainment, not transformation. Right? Well, novelists are selling transportation into a different world, which is a type of transformation. And this can be done through a challenge. There are so many great reasons for fiction authors to run more challenges. Uniqueness. Very few authors are doing them, so yours will easily stand out to readers. Community. Some of the most successful authors sell well because they build a community of people around their books. Of course, you have to write a great book first, but if you know your books are good, a challenge can bring your readers together and help them get to know each other. Transportation. People are bored, and the reason challenges are fun is because they create transformation in the participant or transportation to a different world. For fiction, you'll likely be doing more of the latter, and the perfect way for readers to get lost is to buy your books and dive in. Sharing. Most challenges have some level of accountability, which is usually done through participants sharing their progress on social media. This brings more people into your challenge sign-up. Party with prizes. Because challenges are event-based and community-driven, you can use them to build a Facebook group or engage with your current fans and find new ones, too. There are many different types of challenges you can try, including several you've probably heard of already. Number 1 Reading Challenge. Lots of people have goals to read more books in a year. A reading challenge is straightforward in that you come up with a theme, come up with a list of books, and post for people to join the reading challenge. There are hundreds of theme ideas on Goodreads and scattered across the internet, so don't be afraid to get inspiration from others. The value that you personally provide as an author could be a space for the community to develop, or a printable journal where readers could keep track of their favorite books. Number 2 Book Club. A book club is a community-based challenge that involves reading the same book or set of books and participating in a regular discussion of them. Number 3 Book Passport. A book passport is essentially a stamp kind of challenge. Readers can get their book passport at the beginning of the year or beginning of the challenge, and as they travel around to the various books, questions, whatever, they get a digital stamp, which is basically just an image that they can add to a visual passport. Lots of people love to check things off and complete tasks, so this is a fun activity that they can do together, especially when it's already aligned to their goals. Number 4 Extreme Reading Challenge. If you've seen the show Man vs. Food, you probably understand the appeal of extreme eating and extreme food challenges. The gist of it is that foodies attempt to eat a certain amount of food to win a prize. The challenge part can be that it's very spicy food, that it's a huge amount of food to eat in one sitting, like an 84 ounces steak for example, or eat a large meal under the duress of a timer. Extreme food challenges are a common restaurant attraction that works well to get attention and tourism. People travel from all over the world to test themselves. You can do the same for readers, for example, hosting a 5 books in 5 days reading challenge. People push themselves because reading is a fun goal of theirs, and because there's usually a prize at the end. Most restaurants give a free meal if you complete the challenge, and some even throw in a t-shirt or a gift certificate. You can get creative with a free book bundle, a bookstore gift card, or whatever else. We recommend doing a digital bundle so it doesn't cost you when a lot of people complete the challenge. Ideally, you want to adjust the challenge requirements and the length of time until the challenge is difficult, but not impossible. Number 5 Scavenger Hunt. Scavenger hunts are a lot like book passports, except that the participants have to find things and decipher clues as part of checking off the various tasks and taking the various actions. This could be a great challenge to run if you are a mystery or crime writer. All of these challenges can be modified, tweaked, or combined with each other or with some of the other viral ideas we shared in this chapter. Whatever you end up doing, you want to have a unique take on a challenge. There are endless ideas, so come up with one that suits your readers. If you write 800-page epic fantasy books, for example, you probably don't need to run a 5 books in 5 days challenge. Or maybe you should? Is reading that much even possible? But if you write romance, you would probably have many readers who could complete this challenge as a stretch goal, clearing off extra books from their to-be-read TBR pile. Additional resources. If you'd like to get the case study and the breakdown of Monica's email sequence, you can sign up at kickstartyournovel.com. Chapter 5. Cross-creation. We've talked a lot about cross-promotion with other authors or sites that have built an audience of readers. Most of these efforts did not require creating new content, specifically short stories, novelettes, novellas, novels, comics and graphics novels, and more. Doing these types of joint projects can get tricky and requires finding good partners to work with. Sometimes it feels easier to go at it alone, and we definitely understand the sentiment, having been burned a few times each ourselves. But we've also found that cross-creation, or partnering with others to build your book catalog, can go a long way in finding new readers. Your content is always your greatest marketing asset, and the best way to find readers is always going to be to give them a sample of your work. This is why advice like, to build a bigger audience, write the next book exists. Building your author career really is this simple, but it's not necessarily easy. You can create more content and build your catalog a little faster through cross-creation. In this chapter, you'll find 5 different ways we've used to build our back catalogs. Number 1. Bundling. Bundling is one of the best ways you can increase your sales as a solo author. It's a general concept that applies to many different scenarios. Some of those include: same book, multiple formats. People love to get the same book in different formats, usually ebook, print book, and audiobook. Perhaps you sold them the ebook, and they love the story so much that they want a color hardcover fan edition with bonuses. Or perhaps you sold them the ebook which they read before bed, but they also want the audiobook so they can read on their daily jog or commute. We buy many books multiple times, and we both love creating fan content in extra formats for our audiences. Beyond formats, you can also consider merchandising, as readers also love getting enamel pins, jewelry, fan art, and more with the purchase of their books. Multiple books in the same series. Russell runs Kickstarters on 3 to 4 fiction books in the same series at a time, and sometimes not in the same series. See his Wannabe Press summer fantasy science fiction novel slate that funded at over $9,500. Monica sells direct through her website with digital bundles of 6 or more books at a time, and has sold up to 16 books at once in a bundle, even when several of them weren't completed yet. People love to get multiple books in the same series, usually because that's the point of a series. They are literally books that are meant to be read together, so why not make it easy for your readers? You can also create a digital boxed set of your own books in a series or as a starter library, the starter library being a first book in series from several of your series. If you do this, we recommend posting them to wide retailers, as you can go over the $9.99 price point so you don't cannibalize your individual title sales. You can also post them to your own website, which we are doing, and will soon put advertising on to supercharge this effort. These, of course, require non-exclusivity with Amazon. A bundle of books with other authors. There's a site called Story Bundle, where authors can curate a set of books by different authors to be sold as a bundle. To our knowledge, they still have open submissions if you have an idea you want to submit. However, you can also do this on your own and sell directly from a website. You can split funds in 2 ways. Royalty share. Each author gets a split of the royalties. The organizer may take a small management fee from the top. Affiliate share. The organizer takes a management fee from every sale, and each author gets a large percentage, 50% or more, of only the sales they drive to the promotion. This is good for when authors in the promotion have vastly different sized audiences, and you want to reward authors with big lists who can drive more sales. We talk a little bit more about the second option in the affiliate run section in Chapter 6, Bestseller Runs. While bundling is an exciting opportunity that you can do through retailers, a lot of the opportunity requires authors to have their books wide, non-exclusive, so they can do direct sales, Kickstarters, and more. Several retailers have restrictions on pricing, which limits what kind of bundle you can put together, and no retailers allow authors to bundle books with other merchandise. To do so, you would likely have to order all the pieces yourself, package them nicely, and use fulfillment by Amazon, FBA, to sell a box bundle. This is out of reach for many authors, and a big hassle for the money too. Number 2, co-authoring. We are huge fans of co-authoring, obviously, seeing as the book you're reading is a co-authored one from both of us. Co-authoring is when 2 or more authors get together and write a single book or other piece of content. There are many reasons co-authoring is worth doing. Create content faster by sharing the workload. Pool audiences and/or expertise for one product. Pool other marketing resources like advertising money, list builds, and more. Have fun and stay accountable with a co-write. Monica's main co-writer is Russell, but Russell has had many co-creators over the years. In comics, co-creation is the norm rather than the oddity. Most of Russell's co-creators are artists he has commissioned for the comics that he writes. Monica also had a close friend she used to co-write with, and unfortunately that relationship went south, and they didn't speak for about a year as a result. They are best friends again, and it made the friendship stronger, but it was definitely a quiet year of silence between them that took time and apologies to recover from. All of this is to say that co-writing is not something to enter lightly into with others. You want to follow these general guidelines. Establish a friendship with your potential partners first. Get a contract, no matter how close you are, no matter how much you trust each other. This is a business and contracts are a part of that. Related to the contract, outline an exit strategy for both partners. Set expectations up front. Keep the lines of communication open and update each other regularly. Also, remember that not every co-authoring relationship is going to work out. We share more of our thoughts on that at the end of the chapter, not to scare anyone, but to prepare those who don't have a ton of experience in all of the things that can go wrong. Number 3, anthologies. An anthology is a book with several authors each contributing a piece of content. In fiction, this is usually a short story, novelette, or novella. An anthology differs from an omnibus, in that an omnibus is multiple stories as well, but by a single author. Right now, the fiction world largely uses limited-time anthologies, so they can pool their marketing resources for a period of time and drive a single book up the charts for visibility and sales. Sometimes this is done for fun, sometimes this is done for tightly targeted cross-promotion, and sometimes this is done for a bestseller list run, which we talk more about in Chapter 6, Bestseller Runs. The reason these anthologies are limited is usually because the authors want to eventually have their rights revert back so they can publish their stories themselves. This is the best of both worlds for authors. They get a cross-promotion title that can help them find new readers and fill in gaps to their publication schedule, and they get their story back so they can publish it as another solo title under their own name eventually, usually as part of a series that they have. There are lots of ways to find anthology partners, particularly in your own author network and genre or niche, but if you don't know many authors, you can also submit to an anthology. You can find anthology opportunities on Facebook groups. Margot's Group for Authors, Box Sets, https://www.facebook.com/group/25033161866466612/ Wide Anthology, Boxed Sets, and Shared Worlds Brands Collaboration Group, https://www.facebook.com/group/188642269649938/. If you can't find an anthology for your genre, you can start one. That said, to get an idea of how anthologies work, it may be a bit easier to participate in one first. There are a few important questions to consider when you are starting one. What is the goal of the set? Sets can be list-aiming, charity-focused, or just for fun and cross-promotion between the authors. What is the buy-in for the set? This is how much money each author contributes to the set to pay for shared expenses like cover design, formatting, and more. Usually it's under $100 if the set is just for fun, while a list-aiming set usually requires a buy-in of $500. What are the requirements for the set? You want to outline the accepted genres, the heat, violence, and cursing levels. You can use movie ratings to get everyone on the same page, the marketing efforts required, the royalty split and management fees, and any other expectations you might have for people joining the anthology. Anthologies are usually put together well in advance of the publication date, so you'll always have unexpected things come up, and may even have people quit before the deadline. There are headaches and frustrations that you'll encounter as a participant and as an organizer, and while that is probably something you want to avoid on the whole, it's not a good reason not to participate in these sets. We are both USA Today bestsellers because we participated in bestseller list aiming sets. It's definitely worth it to participate, but you want to go into each opportunity with eyes wide open. We have a number of additional resources around anthologies, both for fiction and for comics, that you can grab here. https://theworldneedsyourbook.com/anthology-freebie. Number 4. Boxed sets. A box set is basically just an all-encompassing word to describe both omnibuses, solo box sets, and anthologies, joint author box sets. It's a term derived from print books, where several books were bundled together in a nice cardboard box to be sold as a box set. In the digital world, there's no such thing as a boxed set, as the product is not physical, but since readers understand the terminology, the author community continues to use it for both ebooks and audiobooks in sales copy. We've talked a lot about box sets under the bundling and anthologies sections, so we won't rehash that. We want to make you aware of the term, so you know what you're looking at when you sign up for these opportunities. Please note that the term boxed set can usually be used at most retailers when in digital format, but there are some caveats. Most retailers frown on 3D images, where a digital anthology is represented as if it were a physical boxed set of multiple books. Several retailers, like Apple Books, require a 2D image flat lay, and they often prefer one with all of the covers in the set as thumbnails on the image. If you are attempting to get your digital box set into print, most retailers will not allow language like box set or bundle, as they deem those terms confusing to readers. It makes sense, as many readers who see the term boxed set are going to expect the different pieces of content to come separately as individual books rather than as an omnibus. You need the titles between your print book and ebook to match, so they can be synced on Amazon. As such, we recommend using the correct terminology, omnibus or anthology, on all of your listings, instead of using the term box set. Number 5. Shared worlds. A shared world is one in which all the participating authors contribute individual stories, usually novels, though it can be any length down to short stories, that are all written in the same world, usually by the person who created the world. People start shared worlds for many reasons. Building out their own fiction world. Getting a huge backlist, which helps tickle the algorithms and improve discoverability and visibility on most ebook retailers. Having fun and spreading their passion for the universe. Making a lot more money, faster, especially if they can't produce the books on their own as fast. Cross-promotion with other authors that are also building their careers with their own work, as that can find them many new readers. People write in other shared worlds for many reasons too. Working with a popular and established author to further their individual author brand. Increasing their backlist, and getting help with launch and marketing from the organizer and the other authors in the shared world. Getting launch and marketing expenses paid for when they don't have the money themselves, the organizer sometimes handles money for them. Having fun as fans and possibly previous readers of the work. Shared worlds are a lot of work and require a lot of communication and coordination between the authors. The person who created the world has to provide enough content about the world to get others to write in it, while the participants usually need to coordinate across stories and keep everything in alignment across plot, characters, tone, mood, and more. The amount of structure people agree to amongst themselves varies greatly as well. Some shared worlds give authors more free rein over their stories, while others are rigid and specific in requirements. Usually, the agreement between authors that are developing the shared world together is that authors get to keep the royalties on their own work, with a possible cut to the world builder. There are also marketing needs, and authors will likely pool their resources to promote each book in the series, regardless of whether it is theirs or not. The shared world usually rises or falls as one, so it makes sense to put effort behind every book that is released. For shared worlds that are an extension of a big-name author's current brand, the split is usually closer to 50-50 between the world creator and the author writing in the world, and the world creator often has a hand in writing, rewriting, or reviewing, editing the work to some extent. A lot of the same questions around an anthology also apply to a shared world. Neither of us write in shared worlds, so there may be a few things we've missed, but in general you want to have a strong agreement between authors participating, and think even harder about things that might go wrong or might make you want to pull out. A shared world is one of the biggest commitments you can make as an author in terms of your time, money, and energy. You are likely writing a full-length novel, plus putting in marketing money, so you want to be sure that you are excited about the world and comfortable with the other authors involved. Working with other people. When you cross-create or cross-promote with others, you are working with other people on business, and sometimes those partnerships don't work out. You might and probably will get screwed by someone at some point in any business endeavor you undertake. Sometimes it's on purpose. Sometimes it's by accident. Sometimes it's due to negligence, and other times it's because of maliciousness. Sometimes it's sheer incompetence on your part or on somebody else's. Sometimes you do everything right, and then the market changes and suddenly you're screwed. Whatever the reason, you are probably going to get screwed at some point during cross-creation. It's a bitter pill to swallow. It never gets less bitter. But in being screwed over so many times, you become really good at drowning out the white noise. And it's almost all white noise. Like really, really good. It almost becomes a superpower. People who haven't been doing this for a while are at a tremendous disadvantage because they get caught up in the noise. The single biggest distraction to getting stuff done is that noise. And it will always be there. But when you've been beaten to a pulp several times, you just don't let anything faze you. Yeah, those beatings hurt us. They were brutal at the time. There were dark, dark times. We have trusted in people we shouldn't, exposed ourselves like a raw nerve, gotten hurt, fallen hard, and made it through the other side better people, business owners, and partners on projects. We know how it can go. You blame yourself. You blame other people. You cry. You scream. You stare off into space for hours on end. You drink too much and too often, trying to forget your mistakes. Seriously though, don't drink too much. It's not worth destroying your body. All of those things are normal. We've all felt like that, and feeling like that is okay. It's how you develop your superpower. You are going to lose friends and gain enemies. You are going to wish you had never been born some days. It's going to happen because in order to grow in business, you have to try many things. And some of them will blow up in your face. Even if most of those opportunities are amazing, some will slaughter you. They will humble you and wound your soul. And you can't avoid it. Knowing that you will probably be screwed, don't mortgage your future on any one opportunity. Most people will be good, but some will be horrible, miserable wastes of life. There isn't anything you can do about it. Other people have the best of intentions, but they are incompetent. They will benevolently destroy you through their own stupidity and naivety. Sometimes you'll think of everything, and life will come along and stab you through the stomach. It's really hard to suss out, even given all the facts, whether something will be great or terrible before you begin with it. So protect yourself. Get your contracts in place, and know what your exit strategy is when you enter into a new project. Although working with others is likely going to end badly sometimes, you can't stop taking chances. You have to keep taking them, in fact, because that's where the magic happens, where your business could leap forward 10 steps in an instant. It's impossible to wall yourself off from new opportunities, and also grow a thriving business. You must take chances, and because these chances are new, you can't guarantee they will work. Everything comes down to making your best guess. You can use all the data, but even then all you can do is make as many high percentage bets possible and roll the dice, knowing some are bound to fail. If you are new at this, you just aren't very good at making guesses. You aren't good at sussing out opportunities. So don't bet the bank on any single opportunity, because while it might work, it might also bankrupt you. We never go all in on any one opportunity. And we sometimes think back to all those deals that seemed incredible, and how we only just found out in time that the people behind them were douches. Bullet dodged. We're glad we took those risks because they led to the best decisions of our lives and businesses too. We wouldn't be anywhere if we didn't take a lot of high percentage bets. But in taking risks, even high percentage ones, you will sometimes be screwed. Be prepared for it. You may have your heart ripped out at some point in your author career. But maybe one day, a decade down the road, you'll see it all as a blessing that taught you something and made you stronger too. Case in point, Russell's story about attempting group projects. I once brought a proposal to a group I was part of. The idea was to do a virtual convention in a space we were all in, since we were all trying to build our notoriety in this space and had experience running virtual conferences. We spent about a month talking about it, planning it, and we were just at the first stage where people had to do homework. I asked, and everybody agreed, to spend the next week writing 1 to 2 names per panel hour for who would make great guests to discuss each topic. This wasn't a big ask, but it's the first step where I could judge if the people were good candidates for partnerships. It was definitely something that could be accomplished in less than an hour. This is where the boundary comes in. I said it without telling anybody, as if people are told of the boundary, it could make them more likely to complete the task to avoid the punishment. It's really important to get a baseline assessment of the person, to know if they are trustworthy or not. If they all added names to the sheet, then they passed. If not, I was out. If somebody cannot do a simple task, then I can't trust them to do more or risk my reputation on them. Note, it really doesn't matter the reason why, because there will always be an excuse. There's also a caveat to this. If you reach out and communicate the problem, I am very understanding, but if you do not, then I assume the task will be completed as assigned and agreed upon. So what happened? Only one of the 3 other people did the homework, and I've been part of enough partnerships that fail to know that's a red flag, and it's better to cut ties. Literally, 3 companies blew up in my face because I chose the wrong partners. Not bad people, just not the right partners for me. So I sent an email that said I was out because people didn't do the work. Not long after, one of the people spent 15 minutes trying to convince me he wasn't in the wrong. He gave several excuses and even more reasons. But it just didn't matter. That was a hard line, a boundary I couldn't cross. Boundaries are critical in partnerships, and it's important to have boundaries for both yourself and others, in terms of completing what you say you will, and showing up where you are needed. One of the best ways to do that in a business partnership is through a contract, but that's just the start. You also want to set boundaries for yourself, and what you are willing to tolerate throughout the project. In our experience, communication is key and one of the best ways to handle challenges around boundaries. Remember, a partnership is not a single communication, and then it's handled for the duration of the project. It's an ongoing conversation that needs to be updated and reevaluated regularly. Additional resources. To learn about how Monica does her bundling, or the step-by-step around the affiliate model and how to do it when you have a direct sales website, get your book selling on your website, how to set up software and integrations, handle taxes, fulfillment, and shipping, and sell direct-to-consumer like a pro, book sales supercharged number 7. theworldneedsyourbook.com/wide. Margot's Group for Authors, Box Sets, https://www.facebook.com/group/25033161866466112/Wide Anthology, boxed sets, and shared worlds brands collaboration group. https://www.facebook.com/group/188642269649938/. We have a number of additional resources around anthologies, both for fiction and for comics, that you can grab here. https://theworldneedsyourbook.com/anthology-freebie. Chapter 6. Bestseller runs. Sometimes you're in a position where you need to launch big, or get a result in a short amount of time. Yes, it can cost a bit more money, or maybe a lot more money. Yes, it can be a big risk to run a launch that may fail. In this chapter, we talk about several event-based launches, including list runs to become a USA Today bestseller, Kickstarter runs, affiliate runs, and live event runs. Some of these are driven a little more by money, but most are still focused on getting a big result for a big amount of work. You can't always be launching, so these are special occasion marketing efforts. But they can definitely take you to the next level, so sometimes you need to plan and execute one. Number 1 bestseller list runs. Many authors dream of receiving the bestseller tag on their book. There are 4 main bestseller lists to consider. New York Times. This list is considered the crema de la crema for non-fiction and fiction authors alike. The list is actually made up of about 10 lists total, and is divided into categories like children's books, adult fiction, and adult nonfiction and how-to. Each category has 15 spots at the time of this writing. Ebook and print sales count toward hitting the list, and you can hit the list as a traditionally or independently published book. You can absolutely get curated off of the list, despite your high sales, if the New York Times decides they don't want to feature your book. Unfortunately, many independent authors have found themselves curated off the list even when they hit the right sales goals. This has been happening since 2017-2018. At this time, if you really want to hit this list, you're probably better off going through traditional publishing. You can also attempt to absolutely kill it on sales, getting double or triple what you would need to hit, and see if the New York Times makes an exception for your book. Other accolades people go for when trying to hit this list are number 1 NY Times bestseller, which means they hit the number 1 spot on one of the lists, and some also list how many weeks the book has spent on the list. The list is based partially on sales over the course of a week, and partially on curation that the New York Times has notoriously kept super secret. You'll want to look at the most recent setup to determine which list would be best for you to aim for, and what your strategy should be to hit the list. You can find the digital version of the list here. www.nytimes.com/book/best-sellers/. USA Today. This list is a single list that's 150 spots long, and is based solely on sales numbers from reporting retailers over the course of 1 week. You must receive reporting sales from at least 2 retailers, which means you must have about 500 copies sold at each of at least 2 retailers. What most authors do is try to hit 5,000 to 7,500 ebook sales at Amazon, and 500 ebook sales at both Barnes & Noble and Apple Books. The USA Today list does not hold as much prestige as the New York Times list, but it is still a good credential to have. Like the New York Times bestseller tag, if you receive this accolade even once, you can call yourself a USA Today best-selling author for the rest of your life. Wall Street Journal. This bestseller list is similarly structured to the New York Times bestseller list but only has 7 lists and 10 spots on each. Sales are still based over the course of a week. The lists are based primarily on sales across Nielsen Bookscan, which measures print book sales, and all major U.S. ebook retailers. Audiobooks are excluded. The Wall Street Journal list is not going to have the same clout as the New York Times list, but it is still an impressive accolade to aim for, especially if you write business nonfiction. Amazon bestseller. Amazon publishes its own bestseller list that is based on sales of books through Amazon. While they are only one book retailer, they are easily the biggest one in ebook and one of the biggest in print. This list has 100 spots and represents the top 100 best-selling books in Amazon's store. Getting on this bestseller list will get you a ton of sales of your book, because Amazon's recommendation engine algorithm kicks in and starts promoting your book throughout its store and in promotional emails. Placement here is also usually representative of how likely you are to place on other bestseller lists, which release their lists a week or two after the week in question closes and the sales data has been collected. The list is calculated hourly, and it's very challenging to make the list. It's also very challenging to stay on the list once you make it. Unfortunately, the title of Amazon bestseller sounds fairly unimpressive, as many authors call themselves an Amazon bestseller if they hit number 1 in any category on Amazon. Several of the categories take only one book sale every couple days to hit number 1, so you can imagine how many authors claim the title. Amazon also publishes a yearly list of bestsellers for the entire year in books. Here's the 2020 list. www.amazon.com/gp/bestseller/2020/book/. You can see other lists dating back to 1995. If you want to hit one of these lists as an independent author, your best chance starting out is to join a list aiming box set. Why do it? There are so many reasons to join a list aiming box set. Hitting the USA Today bestseller list, getting your letters, is a marketing tool that you can use on your covers for the rest of your life. Some say it doesn't matter, but it can improve conversion and sales on your books and lend you additional credibility as an author. Getting your work in front of 6,000 plus or more readers, list aiming box sets are worth as much or more as landing a 99-cent BookBub featured deal. The only difference is that you are in control and aren't banking your career on someone else accepting your submission to their advertising opportunity. If you effectively want to have a guaranteed BookBub every quarter, you could join a list aiming boxed set that releases in each quarter. It's a lot more work, and you don't want to stop doing your newsletter promotions and applying to BookBubs, but this is something you can set up in advance to keep your sales high throughout the year. Working and cross-promoting with other authors. If you get solid authors with like-minded values and goals together, it can be a great way to find new readers. You can also learn more about what other authors are doing to promote their work, and you can benefit from their growing author careers as a rising tide that lifts all boats. Learning and improving your marketing skills, list aim sets are a great way to see what really works to launch a book into the 5,000 plus pre-order range. There's almost no way that you wouldn't level up your mindset, especially around how to market and sell your books. Launching a new pen name. If you know how to market but have started a new pen name, this is a great way to start finding new readers for it. You have the marketing skills to be a great contributor to the boxed set, and the set can help you build your audience quickly through cross-promotion. Catching the visibility of a genre trend without committing to a full novel. Genre trends come and go, and sometimes you don't have time to create a full series around a new trend, even though it's getting a ton of organic visibility. Boxed sets are a way to get in front of these readers who are hungry for the newest trend, but without you having to commit to a full series that may or may not complete before the trends shift to something else. Building algorithms around a pen name at multiple ebook retailer storefronts. As the list aiming book begins to accumulate pre-orders, Amazon notices and will send personalized emails and push notifications via the Kindle app to those buyers to also buy your books. This happens slowly over time, but it adds up over the long run and brings more visibility to your pen name just by being associated with the list. You may also end up in the also bots of the list aiming book, which increases visibility of your backlist as well. To learn more about the Amazon algorithms that can increase your visibility in their store, check out the book Get Your Book Selling on Amazon. Optimize your search terms, metadata, and keywords, increase your visibility and discoverability, and learn Amazon's organic algorithms. Book Sales Supercharged Number 3. This same idea also applies to Apple Books. So if you have a presence there, a digital box set can work even better than it does on Amazon. You can learn why in the book, Get Your Book Selling on Apple Books. learn discoverability and visibility on the store and app, optimize your metadata, get merchandised, and more. Book sales supercharged. Number 2. We consider list aiming books to be an underutilized tool in the author community, but we also understand why authors shy away from them. Some of the downsides to the list aiming box sets are: working with other people is challenging. Every set has people dropping out at the last minute due to flakiness on their part or changing circumstances, like illness. People will have different ideas about how something should go, or push on each other's boundaries around marketing. The set depends on solid organization. The organizer and manager of the set will make or break the set. Someone needs to be a leader and put more time into making the set work. Some of the work includes giving authors the coordinated plan, securing covers, formatting and advertising space, collecting money and managing ads, coming up with new marketing strategies, publishing the set, and herding authors toward the finish line of every major deadline. The set depends on the other authors in it doing the work too. Outside of the organizer, there is no room for dead weight or drama in a boxed set. You need authors who get the plan and execute it without much hassle or fuss. Everyone needs to tick boxes, and if people are confused about what to do or allowed to go Mia for long periods of time, it will get harder and harder to draw them back in and right the ship. The sets are expensive up front. While you can usually make money back in the royalties, these often come a year or more after you pay initial buy-in fees, and they are not guaranteed. Most authors assume, rightly, that they should consider the buy-in a sunk cost. There are additional fees throughout the set, and if you get to the end and don't quite have enough sales, is everyone willing to chip in another $100 to get across the finish line? Do you really want to miss the list because you didn't spend that extra 20% on ads? The truth is that sets are not ideal for people, for which $500 to $1,000 would be a massive hardship. We recommend signing up for your first set when it feels like a stretch or a slight sticker shock as a way to level up. But we can't recommend joining if even $25 beyond budget would cost you some groceries for the week. The gains are not worth the stress. The sets are a marketing grind you may not be used to. No boxed set hits the list without a ton of marketing work from all participants. If you are not used to marketing your books, you may be shocked at just how much people are doing to get more sales. Plan to budget several hours every week for the duration of the list run. Expect a period of integration while you get used to marketing books at a higher level. The sets last for a long time. You are committing to about 1.5 years of working with a set group of people, and it's a lot to keep on top of. Put a recurring block on your calendar to check in with the set every week, to see what is new and to complete marketing tasks. This will keep the list run top of mind and help you commit to the author path too. Because there are so many moving parts, we highly recommend participating in someone else's list run boxed set before starting your own. This will give you a strong overview of how to run one of these. How Monica handles her list run sets. I have recently started managing list run boxed sets in my genre, which is fantasy and science fiction. The main reason I've done so is that I genuinely enjoy participating in boxed sets, and I wanted to see more around the genres, tropes, and themes that I love. Beyond that, it's fun to pull sets together, and it's even more fun to help other authors improve their marketing skills and get their letters for the first time. I enjoy the challenge of the work, and I like staying accountable to other authors and having built-in deadlines and goals for building my email list and marketing my books. There are a few things I do when trying to put together a boxed set. Look for trends. I look for television shows and chart-topping books in my broader genre to see what they have in common. Remember, a list-aiming set is likely on pre-order a year or so before it officially releases, and you can accumulate pre-orders at any time. Hopping on a trend that's hot now can give you a steady stream of organic pre-orders early on. Cross multiple trends and adjacent subgenres. My sets are never something basic like fairies. They are usually blending multiple subgenres and tropes together to appeal to a wide base of authors. If I can't get a variety of authors from related subgenres on board, I know that the set will likely not get a variety of readers either. The bottom line is large hits are built on appealing to many different audiences, so I don't recommend hitting just one. Get a top cover. My sets usually buy 2 covers, one for the list aim, and one for a perma-free anthology that leads to the list aim. I'm always thinking about wide marketing strategies. We focus on securing a top cover designer in the genre, with a proven track record for sales in the genre. This can cost upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 per cover, which is big money for most authors, especially when we're getting 2. But it's worth it for a set run, and the cover will do so much heavy lifting where the authors may not be able to. Find some headliners. Headliners are people who are big names, or strongly established in the exact subgenre with the exact tropes the set is aiming at. It's hard to get a headliner on board, but if you can do it, their name recognition and stamp of approval will be worth its weight in gold for the list run. You can usually waive buy-in, offer to put their stories at the front of the collection, and provide other accommodations to a headliner to help get them on board. Create a week-by-week marketing plan. It's very easy for set runs to feel like they have all the time in the world, but making visible weekly and monthly progress in pre-order sales is critical throughout the set run. Now, I've given you just enough information to get yourself into trouble. There's far more to managing sets than I'm able to cover here, but I wanted to give you an overview so you know what to expect, and you have some things to think about when considering an effort like this. Number 2, Kickstarter runs. A Kickstarter run is a campaign on Kickstarter. It's usually time-limited to 30 days at most, though we recommend a 10-day campaign or a 17-day campaign for fiction authors. This type of campaign gives you the chance to grow or deepen your relationship with your readers. There are 6 scenarios that we recommend using Kickstarter for. Author with a fan base and mailing list. Fans are asking for special edition hardcovers or audiobooks. Author with few fans, looking to increase revenue per reader -$35 to $40 per backer. Authors with a large, diverse backlist. If you write in multiple genres or do not write to market, you can bundle which sells better than the individual books. Author with a dead email list. Don't know who on their mailing list is buying from them, and unsure that their email list is converting, which makes it hard to find fans. You can't get your customer list from Amazon. Wide authors. Kickstarter is another retailer for you to be present on. KU authors. Before it goes live on Amazon, print books, just not include ebooks in the campaign. While Kickstarter can be used on its own, it often pairs nicely with a direct sales site or a live event schedule where you are regularly selling at a table and/or by hand. Kickstarter tends to help you build up additional merchandise for your books and brand, and you can sell your excess inventory through those means. You can also just do multiple Kickstarters throughout the year. Russell does about 4 Kickstarters a year, and Monica has just started with Kickstarter, but hopes to do several regular campaigns across multiple pen names each year. We have tons of resources on Kickstarter. Sign up at kickstartyournovel.com. Why Russell recommends 17-day campaigns. I love launch emails. Launch emails are when all the time you spend on your mailing list becomes worth it. I'm going to give you my 17-day Kickstarter email strategy, but first I need to take a hard right tangent. If you just want the content calendar, then just scroll to the bottom. Otherwise, let me take you back and talk about why I think a 17-day campaign is the perfect length for most purposes, at least in the publishing space. In January 2021, I ran a 10-day Kickstarter for my God's First Chronicles universe, which raised $9,935 from 264 backers. The God's Verse is easily my most popular series, with both the Katrina Hates the Dead and Pixie Dust graphic novels making me over $100,000 in combined revenue by themselves since their launches. The God's First Chronicles Kickstarter was to expand the universe into novels and add 10 additional Santo Rise. In the first week, Tuesday to Saturday, of that campaign, we raised $6,977 from 173 backers. In the last week, Sunday to Thursday, we raised $2,958 from 91 backers. Raising nearly $10,000 in 10 days is an incredible feat, but I had a nagging suspicion that I was leaving money on the table. In June of 2020, we finished a 17-day campaign for a slate of 4 standalone novels, which have zero brand recognition, which means they should be doing considerably worse than The Godsverse, which had huge brand recognition among my fans. That campaign raised $5,797 in the first week, over $1,000 less than The Godsverse campaign. We only had 165 backers, 8 less than The Godsverse campaign. So yeah, it was doing worse in its first week, but remember, this campaign has 7 additional days, which means it has a week to catch up, and that's just what it did. In the last week of my summer slate, we raised $2,352 from just 66 backers, which was 25 less than the last week of the Godsverse Chronicles campaign. Combined with the deficit from the first week of the campaign, we had 33 fewer backers in the first and last week of the campaign than we did during the Godsverse Chronicles campaign. However, we gained 47 backers during the additional week in the middle of the campaign, which meant we finished the campaign raising $9,571 from 278 backers, 14 more than my Godsverse campaign. We ended up raising $364 less, but from more people than pledged to my super popular universe. I thought that if it did the same number of backers as the Godsverse campaign, it would be a huge win. Remember, these books had zero brand recognition. Yet, it got even more backers, and the only thing I can attribute it to was the additional week of the campaign. Going into the last week, we were tracking slightly ahead of the Godsverse Chronicles by about 10 backers, which means we pretty much maintained that gap through the end of the campaign. The additional week did not impact the final week negatively at all, which is why I will start to recommend a 17-day campaign as the ideal time frame for most books from now on. So why 17 days and not 24 or 31 days? I already have a lot of data on a 24-day campaign and a 31-day campaign. I run 24-day campaigns for my most popular anthology series, Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, and I do 31-day campaigns for my most popular comic book series, Ichabod Jones' Monster Hunter. And based on that data, I would not run either unless I had a killer marketing plan and a big well-known series that I thought would get more traction over time, like Ichabod Jones, Monster Hunter or Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. I have to invest significantly more time into those longer campaigns to make sure I have new perks launching throughout the campaign. I have to find lots more marketing opportunities for those campaigns, and if you don't have a lot of open marketing avenues, then having the extra days is dead weight. A long campaign would also have to be in a category with a vibrant community that I thought I could find a lot of collaborators through, which is true of comics but not in publishing. I love the backers in the publishing category, but the novel writers I try to network with are having none of it. Meanwhile, the comics category is all about networking and doing backer update swaps, so I have more options to keep showing myself to new people in the comics than the publishing category. The main reason that I am hesitant about doing a 10-day campaign again is that the shortness of the campaign prevents me from using one of my most powerful assets, backer updates. One thing I wasn't able to do on my 10-day campaign was to send a second backer update to my previous campaigns because the beginning and end were too close together, which probably left a lot of money on the table. I send updates to every campaign when I launch. Since I have 12 campaigns, I send to 4 each day over 3 days, and I try to make sure not to include campaigns close to each other to avoid hitting the same backers multiple times a day. With longer campaigns, I also send an update in the last 5 days of the campaign, starting on Sunday and continuing for 3 days and ending on Tuesday day, 2 days before the end of the campaign. Those end-of-campaign updates are like gold, and only having a 10-day campaign hurt my ability to do that, which means I left a lot of money on the table. Now, I promised that I would give you my email calendar for a 17-day Kickstarter campaign, and here it is. This is my basic email schedule for this kind of campaign when it comes to my mailing list. I think it utilizes the most successful pieces I've done with longer and shorter campaigns without burning people out on hearing from me. I start every campaign on a Tuesday and end on a Thursday, and all my perks go end on Saturdays and start on Sundays, except for flash perks, which I will add when things get slow. I'm not saying you should do that too, but having done it the same way 12 times means I've developed my own process. Day 1 Tuesday, 3 emails. I send a We Launched email in the morning with a graphic of my early bird perks. Then I send a mid-morning bonus perk email, assuming we do well enough to qualify for it. Often this perk is tied to backing on the first day only. Then I send a final email at night, saying the first day bonus perk is going away. Day 2 Wednesday, 1 email. The first day is for hitting people that already know and love the book. The second day is about introducing people to the book a second time, sending the blurb, and going into depth about the book. Day 3 Thursday, 1 email. This email is to tell people there are only 2 days left for early bird perks. I use this email to talk about early bird perks. I recommend having 4 to 5 early bird perks available for backers. Day 4 Friday, 1 email. This one is to say there is only 1 day left for early bird perks. Day 5 Saturday, 2 emails. I send a last day for early bird perks in the morning. Then a last chance for early bird perks at night. I have tested this all sorts of different ways, and sending the second email is very effective. Day 6 Sunday, 0 emails break. Day 7 Monday, 1 email. This is an email talking about week 2 perks. I recommend 4 to 5 week 2 perks. This also sets up that you'll be spending the second week going deep on different aspects of the book. Day 8 Tuesday, 1 email. Dive deeper into the main character or the story idea, though you probably covered the story in the previous week's emails. Day 9 Wednesday, 1 email. Dive deeper into the setting or the art or another part of the book. Day 10 Thursday, 1 email. Dive deeper into the reason you made the book. This is your why email, and critically important to get people who've heard all about the book and just need one little push to go over the edge. Day 11 Friday, 1 email. 1 day left for week 2 perks. This is the same as the previous week. Day 12 Saturday, 2 emails. Last day for week 2 perks in the morning. Then last chance for week 2 perks at night. These emails are exactly like the first week's emails. Day 13 Sunday, 0 emails break. Day 14 Monday, 1 email, introducing final week perks. You don't have to go as hard this week. You can just have 2 to 3 perks for this, since you'll get a lot of traction out of the campaign ending. Day 15 Tuesday, 1 email. I send a 2 days left email in the morning, knowing that Kickstarter sends a 48 hours left email to people watching the campaign in the afternoon. Day 16 Wednesday, 2 emails. 1 day left in the morning. 24 hours left in the afternoon, or whenever there are only 24 left in the campaign. Day 17 Thursday, 4 emails. 12 hours left, 8 hours left, 4 hours left, 2 hours left. That's 23 emails, and I often decide to send another email each Sunday, making it 25 emails, which sounds like a lot, but every time I do I make hundreds of dollars for my campaign. Of course, I have 25,000 plus people on my mailing list too. I probably wouldn't send 25 emails to a list of 30 people, or maybe I would. I don't know. I suppose it would depend on how many of them already backed the campaign. The key is that every day, I'm trying to find a new way to talk about the project, which will get people excited. I assume that my last email convinced everybody it was going to convince, and I need to tweak my pitch to find new people, but there is always a way to tweak a pitch to make it relevant, and if you do different perks every week, then there is always something opening and closing and giving you reasons to hit your list. I follow that same strategy in my social media as well, usually copying my emails into my social media accounts and tweaking them for the platform, but definitely augmenting that email with something on social media for people that aren't on my email list. I'm conscious to never talk about the same thing twice in my emails. Every time I reach out to people, I have a new reason. The calendar I've lined up above comes from 12 campaigns and over $180,000 raised on Kickstarter since 2014. We have tons of resources on Kickstarter. Sign up at kickstartyournovel.com. Number 3. Affiliate runs. An affiliate run is a straightforward business sales model that's used regularly in nonfiction. Basically, you get a group of authors together, and each contributes a book from their catalog for a bundle sale, similar to what Story Bundle does. If you get 20 to 40 authors, and sell the bundle for $12 to $20 for a limited time, in nonfiction they often use 72 hours, it's a great deal for readers and an easy sell. For authors, the payment is not a royalty split, but an affiliate commission. Authors can sell the bundle to their email list and get an affiliate commission of 25 to 75%, depending on what the organizer chooses. On a $20 purchase, this is $5 to $15 of the purchase price. That means that the author contributed one book that they would normally get $2 minus $4 for from their list, and instead got $5 to $15 from their list. Additionally, if they contributed a book that was part of a series, that book has now gone out to everyone who bought the bundle, and there's a potential for sell-through. For the organizer, they can get a 25 to 50% sign-on on the bundle, as they collect the money through their website, deliver the books, and keep the remainder after paying affiliate fees. This business model is ideal for authors who have huge email lists, as they can make more per bundle sale than they would make selling a single book directly to their readers. It's also ideal for established authors who have their books wide, and can add their book to a promotion like this without disrupting their regular sales at retailers. For authors fitting this criteria, an affiliate run is a minimal effort promotion, sending a few emails and posting to social media, a way to distribute a key book in their series to more readers, for sell-through a way to get their email list fence-sitters to pick up and read one of their books, and an additional income stream of affiliate income to add to their bank accounts. We have another book called Get Your Book Selling on Your Website: How to Set Up Software and Integrations, Handle Taxes, Fulfillment, and Shipping, and Sell Direct-to-Consumer Like a Pro. Book Sales Supercharged Number 7, which talks about a bunch of different direct sales funnels and campaigns that are prevalent in the nonfiction world but not used very often in the fiction world. Hint: this means far less competition if you do decide to put something together. Number 4. Live event runs. Another way to massively increase your audience quickly is through tabling at conventions. Now, conventions can be a big-time investment since you need to pay for products and table space, but there is nothing like meeting your fans face-to-face to convince them that your products are worth buying. Personal interaction is the quickest way to bridge the gap between prospect and fan. That's why outside sales reps who travel to clients have a much higher closing percentage than inside sales reps who call people on the phone all day, and both of those have much higher closing percentages than direct marketing, which only send emails or letters. The more personal connection you have with a potential customer, the more likely they are to like you, and thus buy from you. To cut down costs, look for local shops who might be interested in having you come in to do product demonstrations, talks, or signings. People love to meet local craftspeople, and many shops specialize in local products and will offer you a free table if you ask, in return for a percentage of your sales. If you sell services, look for local meetups that might benefit from hearing from you. Other cheap options for conventions are flea markets, swap meets, and art walks. These might have a small cost, or even offer you a table for free. However, you can also split your cost with multiple crafts POPLE to drop the investment even lower. Even if you decide to invest in a table at a big show, you should still consider splitting a table to keep costs low, especially if you don't have a lot of products to offer. I still split tables at conventions, and I've been doing this for many years. The key to a convention is that you must talk to the customers who pass by your table. You can't just sit behind your table and smile. You must engage. That is the key to success at conventions, and to building your audience. This type of engagement will not only build your audience rapidly, but most of the people you add to your email list will be buyers, which are the most valuable type of people to have on your list. Conventions are a great way to short-circuit people's natural inclination to ignore email because you have made a personal connection with them. We have another book called Get Your Book Selling at Events: How to Set Up Your Table and Sell More Books at Conferences Through Speaking Opportunities, at Appearances and Signings, and More, Book Sales Supercharged number 10, which is a must-have for planning your next live event or author signing. Additional resources. We have tons of resources on Kickstarter. Sign up at kickstartyournovel.com. Get the other books in the series, theworldneedsyourbook.com/wide. Learning the Amazon algorithms for list aiming boxed sets. Get your book selling on Amazon. Optimize your search terms, metadata, and keywords, increase your visibility and discoverability, and learn Amazon's organic algorithms. Book Sales Supercharged #3. Learning the Amazon algorithms for list aiming boxed sets. Get your book selling on Apple Books. Learn discoverability and visibility on the store and app. Optimize your metadata, get merchandised, and more. Book Sales Supercharged #2. Step-by-step around the affiliate model and how to do it when you have a direct sales website. Get your book selling on your website. How to set up software and integrations, handle taxes, fulfillment, and shipping, and sell direct to consumer like a pro. Book Sales Supercharged #7. Russell's exact strategy to sell books and make solid profits at his table signing and con events. Get your book selling at events. How to set up your table and sell more books at conferences through speaking opportunities, at appearances and signings, and more. Book Sales Supercharged #10. Chapter 7. Next Steps. Thank you so much for picking up this book and learning more about how you as an author can go use cross-promotion to build your independent author career. We hope we've given you a lot to chew on and shown you the many ways with which you can market your books without using CPC advertising. Now, if you want to add this type of advertising in the future, you'll already have a foundation of methods for building an audience that you can amplify and accelerate through display ads. What next? Please send your questions and suggestions to Monica's team at team@theworldneedsyourbook.com. We will get your message to the right person. We'd love to help you out. As you build your audience and author platform, we encourage you to consider our advertising books. Amazon Advertising. Get your book selling with advanced Amazon advertising. Book Sales Supercharged #17. Facebook Advertising. Get your book selling with advanced Facebook advertising. Book Sales Supercharged #18. BookBub Advertising. Get your book selling with BookBub. Book Sales Supercharged #16. Kickstart your novel. If you've ever wanted to use Kickstarter to support your author dreams, we offer a ton of freebies and training for Kickstarter at kickstartyournovel.com. The Book Sales Supercharged series. If you want to dig into other platforms that are useful to authors, we encourage you to continue the series. We have co-authored several books together. Get your book selling with advanced Facebook advertising. Book Sales Supercharged #18. Get your book selling in print. Book Sales Supercharged #8. Get your book selling with cross-promotion. Book Sales Supercharged #11. Get your book selling at events. Book Sales Supercharged #10. Get your book selling on Kickstarter. Book Sales Supercharged #9. The series is available at all retailers. We are aggressively wide over here, but if you want the best deal, there are also large bundles of the book on the website. To learn more, go to theworldneedsyourbook.com/shop. If you want to just learn more about the series, you can also go to the website, which lists all the books in the series plus links to everywhere they are available to be purchased. To learn more, go to theworldneedsyourbook.com/wide. Russell's training courses and books. Russell has an incredible set of courses at Wannabe Press under the brand The Complete Creative. Some of the courses he teaches include: create profitable Facebook ads, build a rabid fan base, crush it on Kickstarter. You can check out these courses here. wannabepress.teachable.com/ Monica's The Productive Novelist books. In addition to the Book Sales Supercharged series, Monica also has books that are strategy-focused on things like craft, book marketing, and more. The Productive Novelist series is 14 books spanning all topics related to writing, editing, publishing, and marketing your books. There are also several advanced books in this series for those who intend to make writing a career and want to build their businesses for longevity. The content in this series has been tested by thousands of authors when it was originally published as the Growth Hacking for Storytellers series. We've since updated all the content and added several chapters to the newer editions. To learn more and see what we have to offer, go to theworldneedsyourbook.com/shop. The Productive Novelist channel, podcast, and blog. Monica shares tons of free content on my YouTube channel, podcast, and blog. Some people like to get right to the solution with a course or a book, while others like to receive a drip week to week through my YouTube channel or podcast feed. Please connect with her and subscribe to her channels. Podcast, theworldneedsyourbook.com/podcast. YouTube, theworldneedsyourbook.com/YouTube. Blog, theworldneedsyourbook.com/blog. Wide newsletter, theworldneedsyourbook.com/Substack. Your feedback, please. Our goal for writing this book is to help get more authors up to speed on how to use Facebook to build their careers. We would love to know how we did. There are 2 ways to leave feedback. Reviews. If you loved this book, we can always use an honest review on our public retailer pages, where other people looking for the books can see what real people think of them. Choose your retailer and leave a review here. theworldneedsyourbook.com/reviewbus11. Feedback form. If you have anything you'd like to share privately, please feel free to fill out our feedback form here. theworldneedsyourbook.com/feedback. All answers are private, unless you say we can use the responses publicly in our marketing materials. Spread the word. Can you think of 2 people who could use this book in their lives? Maybe they've published their first couple books, but they're having trouble finding a market or audience for them. Maybe they have a lot of books, but now they are ready to build their audience in unique and surprising ways. Maybe they have been at this publishing thing for a while, and they've never taken the time to develop their newsletter, build their email list, or put some evergreen marketing strategy into place to keep their books selling beyond the launch. If so, we would love it if you could connect them to this book, so they too can learn the ins and outs of using cross-promotion to build an audience for their book business. Thanks again for reading. Be the igniter.